Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. So this is going to be your bi-weekly twin flame soulmate reading. And just in case you're new to these types of readings, the top cards are the divine feminine and the bottom is the divine masculine. Or in other words, the top card would be like the chaser cards, like the chaser energy who's pursuing the relationship. And then the bottom would be like the runner energy that's kind of running away from it or more emotionally closed off from it. And don't forget that we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. So you could actually see the top as the feminine energy within you and the bottom as the masculine energy within you. Especially if you are a twin flame, your divine masculine is ultimately just a reflection of the masculine energy that needs to be healed within yourself. So you can really consider both rows you, actually, if you wanted to look at it that way. Also, when it comes to these readings, if you do feel like you have a very strong codependent tie to a person who's no good for you, or you feel kind of stuck or like trapped, and you feel like you are trying to cut ties or you're trying to remove yourself from a situation, sometimes watching tarot readings can keep you stuck to that situation. So just be mindful of that. You could always take some time away from tarot in order for that connection to die down a bit, and then you can always come back for guidance at a later time. So make sure that you put your mental health first above anything else. Okay, so let's jump into it. Again, either row could be you. Just take it as it resonates, and then the other row would be your soulmate or twin flame. So in the divine feminine row at the top, we have the Chariot card. So immediately, I'm getting the energy of a lot of you moving forward very quickly, I might add. It's like almost like this huge leap is what I'm seeing, where one minute you just thought you would be stuck in a certain situation or a certain cycle forever, and then the next thing you know, you feel like you're over it. And I don't think that this is something that happened overnight. I think that the healing process was very long and grueling, but it's one of those things where like you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. You feel like I'll never get over this, and then like months later, all of a sudden you wake up and you realize you're over it. You know, it's like it happens gradually, and then one day it hits you like, wow, I'm really over that situation, or I've grown so much from it and I'm no longer triggered by it. You see what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of you are just really starting to see how much you have grown and how far you have come, which is obviously a beautiful thing. That's the point of this journey, is to grow. And I think that a lot of you have definitely accomplished that. I want to see what's underneath this. The Hermit. Yep. Okay. So this means that there was a lot of growth that took place after isolation, like after going within and really exploring the darkest parts of yourself. Some of you could have been in isolation for a long time, experienced the dark night of the soul for a long time after the separation took place. That's usually when our spiritual awakening or the dark night of the soul will truly hit us, is when our counterpart leaves, and then it's like we are forced to face all of the pain and the shadow that's coming to the surface within us, and that's where the most growth takes place. So from what I'm seeing with this Chariot card, you're finally starting to see the light, and if you are not seeing it already, you're going to be seeing it soon. It's like you're finally pulling yourself out of this dark place and you're moving towards more happy. What am I hearing? It's like you're moving towards a more happy stage in your life, especially if you felt like the first half of your life has just been horrible and like you just have not lived a life full of abundance and happiness and laughter. I feel like the second half, or the second half of your life is going to be that way. And a lot of you could hear that and it can sound far-fetched because your life could have been so difficult up to this point. It almost seems impossible that the rest of your life will be smooth sailing, but that's exactly what I'm seeing. Smooth sailing. Of course, as human beings, we still have certain obstacles that we are going to face, but it looks like it will not ever be as bad as the things that you have already faced. See what I'm saying? So the Seven of Pentacles comes up, and also the Seven of Cups here. So that's 3 sevens on the board. When I was shuffling the cards, I even heard jackpot. So some of you are like really coming into the stage of your life where you're going to get a lot of abundance. It could be money. It could be health, it could be romantic partnership. It's like some area of your life that has been stagnant or that has been struggling or hindering you, it suddenly is taking a drastic turn. So if you have been, or if you felt very unlucky when it comes to love, it's like now you're moving towards your life partner or a healthy relationship that's going to be very fulfilling. If you felt like, maybe you haven't had luck with finances, you're about to experience a windfall of money. out of nowhere. It's like that sort of energy where something major is going to come in for you, and it's going to feel like you hit the jackpot, literally. So the Seven of Pentacles is here, and the traditional Seven of Pentacles card is the energy of kind of waiting for something. Like we put our energy and effort into something, and now we're waiting for it to come into fruition. So some of you, you're still in that transitional phase where you have set the intentions, like you know what you desire, you've put it out into the universe, and now you're just kind of waiting for it to happen, and it looks like it is coming towards you. And this could be something that you tried to manifest a long time ago, and then maybe it didn't seem to be working out, so you forgot about it, and I feel like it's going to come in now because you forgot about it. See what I'm saying? That's usually how law of attraction works or manifestation works. It's like if you focus too much on the outcome, then it just won't happen. Like you'll feel like it's not happening for you, and it'll become frustrating, and you're kind of like blocking it because you have to just sit back. Well, not sit back. You still have to do, work towards it, but you have to detach yourself from the desperation that surrounds attachment. See what I'm saying? Like when you're attached to a certain outcome, it's like you are questioning or doubting it energetically. Because if you were not doubting it, you wouldn't be worried about it. I remember I was watching a law of attraction video, and the person was basically saying, like, when you order food at a restaurant, do you storm into the kitchen and like make sure they're making your food right and constantly ask the chef, like, okay, is it done? Am I getting it? Like, you don't do that. You just order your food and then you let the food come. That's how manifestation usually works. You can't to be so attached to that outcome, because that's putting an energetic blockage between you and the thing that you want. So the Seven of Cups is also here. So the Seven of Cups talks about confusion. It could also talk about indulging in escapist tactics. So if you have been using certain things, harmful things, to escape, basically this is saying that it's now time for you to face reality. And I think that message is coming up because reality is about to get really good for you. I think that you've been using an escape because reality just has not been great. Some of you could have been through a lot of traumatic experiences, what I'm hearing, and your way of coping has always just been kind of to space out or dissociate or indulge in things that will distract your mind, whether it be, sex, toxic relationships, food, drugs, anything that can take your mind off of that hollow feeling inside or that pain you've been using. But basically what it's saying now is that you're about to have a lot of abundance come to you. And so now you're going to want to face reality, because you're not going to want this abundance to slip through your fingertips. Like, you're going to want to face reality head on so you can claim the abundance that's rightfully yours. So I think that a lot of you are just coming out of this fog. Like, you could be feeling like the last couple months of your life, or the last year or last few years, have just been almost like a dream to you, because they've been so hectic, or like there's been so much growth that has taken place, especially since you've met this other person, like your counterpart. It's like you almost feel like you're dreaming, and that's usually how it goes when you are experiencing a spiritual awakening. It almost feels like you're in a daze, because you just really genuinely can't believe that the things that are taking place can actually be taking place. Especially if you are a very logical person, it could just be very shocking, like when you undergo a spiritual awakening and you start to step into the spiritual side of life, and you're watching tarot readings, and it's like it defies logic, and you just don't understand. It could just be very, very surreal. So a lot of you are just needing to kind of ground yourself and to start to face reality head on, and to stop running from it, because you're about to manifest a lot of abundance into your life. Also, with that Seven of Pentacles being there, you can see that it looks like let me put it up to the camera. You can see that it almost looks like she's in the womb, or that's what it looks like to me anyway, that she's being reborn. So this could also mean rebirth. This also looks to me like when someone is hanging onto something, like hanging onto a cliff, and then they let go and they just fall. That's what it looks like to me, that some of you have finally made the decision to let go of things that were ultimately harming you. And it can make you feel very vulnerable to let those things go, because that's our comfort zone. That's our safety blanket. Yeah, our safety blanket is what I'm hearing, because I was hearing safety net, then I heard safety blanket. So maybe it was saying that we don't want to let go of our safety or our security blanket, because we don't know if there's a safety net, there to catch us. It's like, if we let go, are we going to hit the ground? Like, what's going to be waiting for us at the bottom? We don't know. And so that's why we just hold on. But what it's saying here is that the universe is definitely on your side. The universe is definitely providing you with a safety net, so you're not going to shatter and break when you fall, when you let go. So you have to have faith and trust when it comes to letting things go that are no longer for you. With the Page of Swords being here, I feel like for a lot of you, your intuition is heightening with that Page of Swords. Like, you're getting a lot of intuitive messages or intuitive downloads. And some of you may not even realize that this is happening, is what I'm hearing. Because a lot of twin flames do have psychic abilities, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience. And so their spiritual abilities can awaken when separation happens. But even if you don't have psychic abilities, quote unquote, all human beings have intuition, and they all have the ability to tap into source and receive messages. So this could be exactly what that is. You receiving messages from a higher power, guiding you on your path. Some of you could be getting words of comfort as well. I just heard ancestors. So some of you have your ancestors who are giving you words of wisdom or comfort from the other side. Please don't let that scare you or spook you. I usually don't give those type of messages because people sometimes get scared of those type of messages. It's not anything spooky. It's not anything scary. It's just you receiving wisdom or guidance from a higher power. And you won't really know it. It's not like a voice inside of your head that's going to be giving you directions. It's like, it sounds like your own thoughts, but it's just your intuition. You see what I'm saying? Kind of guiding you, and you're getting that directly from source. Pull one more for this Page of Swords. Some of you are also needing to take a new perspective or allow yourself a new perspective. Ace of Cups here, especially when it comes to this situation with your twin flame, your soulmate. It's like you're needing to look at things differently, especially if this was an unrequited love situation, which most of these situations are, where you felt like they didn't feel for you the way you felt for them. It's like almost needing to see that from a different angle, because the Ace of Cups in reverse, like it's definitely, I'm getting like unrequited love, or you feeling like you put a lot of love into the other person and didn't get anything in return. And with the Page of Swords, I feel like you've been looking at it wrong. Not wrong, but it's like, I don't think you know all the details. And you may be okay, wow. You could be receiving the details, but some of you are not believing what you're receiving. Like, you could be getting very clear messages about this person and what's going on, but it's almost like some of you don't want to believe it, or you're kind of like just brushing it off. That's strange. Let me pull one more for that. Like, for example, if the other person started a new relationship, you could have a feeling that the person that they are with is not the right person for them, or that, that relationship is going to be their karma or a karmic lesson. And you could know that intuitively, but instead you're kind of dismissing that idea, and you're kind of saying to yourself, but what if that person is really in love with the person they're with now? Like, what if they do think they're better than me? You know what I'm saying? It's like letting those thoughts cycle, even though intuitively you're being told that this relationship that the other person is in is their karma or a karmic lesson that they're receiving. I hope that makes sense. I really hope that makes sense. Some of you need to trust your intuition and your inner guidance more than you have. Don't let fear or like that harsh inner critic inside your mind, don't let it overpower what you know intuitively. And that's not to say that if your counterpart is with someone else that they're necessarily going to leave them. But I think intuitively you are getting information about that situation. And it's like some of you just really, like I said, you're letting fear. Yeah, Nine of Pentacles. It's like you're letting fear, or you're letting like this very negative story play over in your head. I really hope that makes sense, guys. I'm trying to explain this the best way I know how, especially with the Nine of Pentacles here. It's like you're devaluing yourself. You're not seeing the value in you. And so then when someone leaves you, it's like you create this story about how they have moved on and now they're living happily ever after. And maybe it was me. Maybe I was the problem, because now this person has moved on and lives happily ever after. But it's like you're literally letting, your harsh inner critic cloud reality, because people change, right? People do change and grow, but it takes a lot for people to change and grow. Just think about this journey and how much you've changed and how much you've grown. It didn't happen overnight, and you're still progressing and growing, and you're actually doing the work to grow. Now, if you were dealing with someone who isn't even doing the work, What would make you think that they would get into a new relationship and suddenly they would be a magically changed person? And I know that's going to be kind of controversial. A lot of people won't agree with that because people live by the notion of like, well, you act right for the person you want to be with. And that's not true. And I have to do a whole video on that because that's literally not true. You act right because of who you are as a person. And if you have toxic patterns or harmful patterns where you hurt people or ghost people and things like that, that remains consistent until you sit down, look at yourself in the mirror and make the conscious decision to change that. And very few people do that. But for some reason, when someone moves on and leaves us, we create this elaborate story in our heads of how they're treating the other person so much better. And it was me. I was the problem all along. And I feel like that's one of the lessons that you are needing to learn here. Is how to stop devaluing yourself and blaming yourself and thinking that there's always going to be another person that's better than you or that will be treated better than you or that will be preferred or chosen over you, is what I'm seeing. So let's move on to your counterpart, shall we? Or this could be you if the other role was your counterpart. So your counterpart, Hanged Man, is at the bottom of the deck. So they are coming out of a state of illusion, is what I'm hearing. Ooh, okay. I usually don't read the Hanged Man card like that. They're coming out of a state of illusion. And now that they've gotten clarity, they're needing to move forward. Let me see what's under here. Knight of Wands. Okay, yep. If they jumped into a relationship really quickly or moved on really quickly, or they're just that type of person that like, when they mess up, they're like, all right, see you, bye. And they just kind of like charge forward and leave. This is so, the message I'm getting is so strange. They're delusional. That is so weird. Oh my God. Okay. Because you know how I said the Seven of Cups, right? Is like that card of delusion. And usually the divine feminine or the chaser is usually the one that is called quote unquote delusional. Oh, you're chasing someone who doesn't want you. You're delusional, whatever, you know, we've heard it all before. But it's basically saying that the other person is delusional too, but in a different way. Because I think they're deluding themselves into thinking that the way that they've been living is the right way. Like, there's nothing wrong with what I've been doing. There's nothing wrong with how I behave. Like, they've been deluding, like, they're delusional in a different way. That is so crazy. I never got that message. The magician, see? It's like they're starting to see, and the Four of Cups, see, listen, we're gonna have to get into this in the extended. It's like they're starting to see that the way they've been living is not okay. It's not acceptable, and it's actually been blocking a lot of blessings in their life. So it looks like they are finally coming out of that delusional state of mind of like, I'm fine, everything's fine, nothing's wrong with me. Like, for example, I was with a soulmate one time who did horrible things to people. Oh my God. The way that he treated me, the way that he treated his ex is horrific. And I remember this man tweeting, I know for a fact that I'm a good person. And I was like, wait, what? What? How could you even fix your lips? Well, okay, it was a tweet. How can you fix your fingers to tweet such a thing? Like, when you have done so much damage to people, what? Like, how could you even formulate that sentence? I know for a fact that's a delusional person. And it's funny because on the flip side of that, we as divine feminines or chasers or whatever you want to call it, we beat ourselves up for things that aren't even our fault. And then it's like the counterpart does harmful things. And on the flip side, they don't beat themselves up at all. In fact, they say, I did nothing wrong. I know I'm a good person. Who cares? Like, you know, it's crazy. Like, it's really crazy how, like I said, both sides mirror each other because both have something that the other lacks, you know? So the Four of Wands is here. And the Four of Wands is I was going to say the Twin Flame card, but something stopped me. Ooh, weird. So some of you, don't be alarmed by this, but I have to say this because this is what I'm hearing. Some of you are needing to drop the Twin Flame label altogether. That's a very bold message that came through. Wow. You're needing to not dwell on the title. Okay. I think this goes for a very small group of you who, I'm not saying that this person isn't a twin flame, but I'm thinking that the title of twin flame is it's so much misinformation about it on the internet. I'm thinking that this is guiding you to either detach yourself from that title or detach yourself from a certain outcome. If you've been thinking like, this is definitely my twin flame, so we have to end up together, you're needing to detach yourself from that outcome, because it's kind of like when you are attached to an outcome, you miss a lot of things, is what I'm hearing. Like, you're blocked off from a lot of things, and you're kind of seeing what you want to see or what you want to believe because you're attached to an outcome. I hope that makes sense. That was a really random message that came through, and it didn't even come through for your side. It came through for the other side, which is crazy. This could also mean that that other person could have thought that they were in something that was going to be long term, and then it wasn't. So you two really are mirroring each other, both needing to drop expectations or both needing to detach from an outcome. And it's for the benefit of both of you. Like, it's for the benefit of your growth and evolution. So this person with the 4 of Wands, they could be ending a relationship, moving out of a home. Things just could be unhappy at home right now. This could also talk about being uncomfortable in your own skin. So they could be feeling some guilt or some type of shame, and they don't even want to be around themselves. Like, you know how when someone just, you just can't stand someone and you just don't want to even be around them. You're like, get out my face. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. Get out my face. They're feeling like that about themselves. But clearly you cannot, like, you can't escape yourself. You have to stay with yourself. That's what makes this journey so difficult. You have to face that pain and shame. You can't run from yourself. I mean, you can with like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. So I just feel like there's a lot of unhappiness here. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Some of them are, it looks like facing an abandonment wound that they have not been wanting to face, and they could also be facing the ways in which they've abandoned themselves and the way that they've abandoned people. Just remember that when someone abandons you or ghosts you, they do that to themselves every day. Like, people like that are so disconnected from their own emotions that they literally neglect themselves. They shut their hearts off, shut their emotions off, and they neglect their emotional needs. And so that's why, in turn, they turn around and do it to you, because they do it to themselves. But eventually, they will have to face themselves, just like all of us eventually will. So with the 5 of Pentacles being in reverse, I feel like that's them facing it. Them not wanting to face it, but having to face it. Having to face, like I said, the people they've abandoned, or the ways in which they've been abandoned, or the ways that they have been abandoning themselves. Also, following bad advice is what I hear. So some of them was receiving negative advice or really bad advice that was causing some of the things that they were doing. Okay, I'm not going to say causing, because, you know, we're all grown. So nobody can make you do anything, but people can sway you, you know, or people can enable you. You know how, like, you have those people around who are like yes men, like you've done something wrong, but they still are just like, no, you're fine. No, there's nothing wrong with what you did. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it helps to ease their mind a little bit. Or they could have been around a lot of people who do those types of things too. So it just seemed kind of normal. All of their friends ghost people. All of their friends leave people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's normal. So who's going to tell them that it's wrong, it's disrespectful, you know, you shouldn't do that to people, it's very harmful? Who's going to tell them that if their surroundings are filled with people who do that? But I feel like a lot of them are outgrowing. They're outgrowing their surroundings. So if that is the type of people that they associate with, they're outgrowing those types of people, which means that they're outgrowing themselves. They're outgrowing the old version of themselves. Once you outgrow your friends, you just know, like, you're outgrowing the old version of you. So the Knight of Cups is here in the reverse. Ooh, okay. So stuck is what I'm hearing. Let me pull one more. All I just heard was stuck. Let me pull one more. This is Knight of Cups. Emotionally stuck. Oh, yep. 10 of Cups in reverse. Emotionally stuck. They don't have anything to offer anybody emotionally right now. Actually, pause. Rewind. They didn't have anything to offer anybody emotionally ever. And I'm not saying that to be shady or as shade, but when someone has been hurt severely and they don't feel loved, in turn, sometimes it's difficult for them to give it. Some people, it turns them into people pleasers where they want to give all of it. They want to give everybody else love but themselves. But on the flip side of it, sometimes when people don't receive love, they don't know how to give love, period. So they withhold it from themselves, and they withhold it from you or the person that they're dealing with. And I think that some of them are starting to realize that the connections that they've been in are not fulfilling because they've been holding out, like they've been holding back. because they don't know how to love in a healthy way. They don't know how to open up completely and fully, because it comes with a lot of fear, a lot of paranoia. They just don't want to experience that feeling of opening up and then getting destroyed. I mean, and that's a valid fear. I think we all fear that in a way, but some people just go about it differently. With the 10 of Cups being here in the reverse, yeah, this is the realization that the way that they've been living and the things that they've been doing is just it just won't bring them long-term happiness. They've been doing a lot of things that are very temporary, like things that kind of fuel them temporarily, or that emotionally get them excited temporarily, because the Knight of Wands came up. So that's like rushing into new situations, getting that love high from, the honeymoon phase, and then moving on to the next thing when it's over. And I said money by mistake. So this could also be someone who's like a workaholic, and they get that rush and they get that high from that money, for the money that they get. But eventually they see that like, this is not long-term happiness. Because if your happiness comes from external things, you'll always feel like you need more and more and more. So I think a lot of them are coming to that conclusion. So we're going to finish this over on Vimeo. I'm going to extend it, jump more into your energy and more into theirs. And let's see, is that it? Yep, I'm going to leave the link to the Vimeo video down below in the description box. So I will see you guys over on my Vimeo channel. Bye.